Hello, and welcome to another edition of Spoken Voices. We hope that everyone had a great Thanksgiving, a safe Thanksgiving. And again, like we always say during this pandemic, we hope everybody is taking care of themselves and their loved ones and even people that we don't know. Well, we're doing everything that we can to keep each other safe. And again, I hope your Thanksgiving was as good as mine. I hope you had a good time, whether you had people or not. Maybe you had them on the telephone talking to them or whatever you had to do. I hope that everyone in everyone's family was doing fine too. Today's show is coming from our home again. And until we can get back into a studio, we're going to continue making shows because we're not going to slow up just because we have a silly virus. So today's show is something that my wife and I, Maribel, were talking about this morning over breakfast. And a big concern to us always since we met actually. The show we're going to show before this show, it's a tie-in to that, and that was about fathers and such. But this one we're going to try to pinpoint a little bit deeper into it and basically really shed the spotlight on fatherless young women and little girls, well, women in general. Now, we started talking about this because I had mentioned to Maribel that I had met so many young women, especially when I was working in New York City, and had the opportunity to go into a restaurant or in one case, Burger King, which I shouldn't have been eating anyway. But I had the opportunity to talk to someone, and I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm like a fatherly figure to certain people. They tend to open up. This one particular young lady who I love dearly, she had to be no more than about 20, 21 years old at the time. We started talking, and for some reason, I guess I just started talking about our daughter. And apparently, throughout the conversation, I must have been talking about my daughter with intensity about how much I love her and so on and so forth, and the funny things that she used to do when she was little and how it was scaring the heck out of me that she was growing up. So as I finished talking, she looked at me, and I noticed she was looking at me a little sad. She seemed to be a little sad, if you can relate to what I'm saying, but happy that I felt that way about my daughter. And so I asked her, I said, well, hey, how are you and your father? I hope that you and your father get along as well as me and Megan, my daughter. And she started even look even sadder. And she said to me, well, I really don't have a relationship with my father. And of course, since she told me that, I wanted to get more in depth in what was really going on and how that relationship had fallen apart or never had been. So she told me a lot of things, and she remained. I tried to remain really close to her and go in every day, even if I didn't want to eat anything, just to see how she was doing, because it really touched my heart as a father. Because at the end of the day, I guess my mentality, my mind, can never get around the fact that there are some women out here, a lot, and not even some, a lot, who has not had their father in their lives. And I realize what an integral part I am in our daughter's life. I can't imagine any person, any man, not wanting to know that their daughter is okay. Our sons, of course, son's daughter, whatever, but right now we're going to talk about daughters. That and not worry about the different pitfalls that can befall a woman, which are a lot different than what happens and what the different things that can go on with our sons. But I've met so many young women. I can't even tell you how many that I've talked to, because I told my audience, I told you guys a while ago, I'm trying to write a book about fathers and daughters. So I was trying to do some research while I was working. in New York. And you would be really surprised how many women don't know or don't have a relationship with their fathers. And I've come to see that it actually changes them into different people, meaning that the person they could be, because the encouragement, the love, the guidance that we show as fathers has a really big effect on a woman. I truly believe, and it's been said before, that we as men are the first man that our daughters will ever love. So I always said that, knowing that before my daughter was even born, I thought it was incumbent upon me to be the best example of a man that she could possibly have. Okay, someone who she can look at and not find somebody just like me, because by no means am I perfect, but pick out all the good things about me. Pick out how I treated her mom and and now her stepmom, and look at that and say to herself, well, if my father can love the way he does and be the person that he is, why would I search for someone who couldn't? Why would I be with someone who can't give me what my father is giving me? Why would I search for something less than that? And that's something that a man should always keep in mind when they do have a daughter. What is the irreparable damage that I may do to my daughter if I am not in her life? How can I make her life better? How do I make her feel like there is no need for her to find the love that I was supposed to give her with someone else? Because I truly believe women need to go out and find themselves. And we say this constantly about our boys. Well, they need to go out here and find themselves and, lay a foundation for them to start a family. And it's almost sometimes we're stuck in the 1950s where we truly believe a woman's thing is to say, okay, we're going to let that guy go out here and provide for us and have children and be a mother, be a wife. But that's not, I don't think that's very productive for us to think that way if we want our daughters to become more than just a wife, more than a mother. Some women now don't want children. And I know there's still people out here who believe if a woman doesn't want a child, somehow they're flawed. There's something wrong with them if they don't want children, or for that matter, to get married. Where it's still, I think there's still a misnomer out here that women are supposed to be, first of all, subservient to men, not have the wherewithal to run a company, be a CEO. See, the thing that I learned, one of my best bosses was a woman, and she was the vice president of the company. And I realized through her, as I was an older guy, of course, I learned through my mother, my aunts, how strong women could be. And at the end of the day, women basically are the backbone of the family. And anyone who tells you differently is not telling the truth. We men are strong. We are providers. And yes, we do protect the family and we do those things. But women are the backbone of the family because, like I said this in another show, God forbid if men had to have children, there'd be one person on earth. We couldn't deal with the stuff that women go through physically. But seeing these young women, and for the most part, I'll be totally honest with you, for the most part, they were Latino and Black girls. And it used to break my heart walking away from a conversation and seeing these girls pour their heart out to me about what they missed. And then I found out about, because we talk, and I found out about the relationships they were in. And honestly, out of the young ladies I talked to, probably about 98% of their relationships were no good. Because it seems like if we don't prepare our daughters to date, what to watch out for, be careful. There's one thing I always told my daughter. I said, if someone's constantly telling you that you're beautiful, and that's the topic of conversation throughout the whole night on the first date, please do not call that person again. Because that's all they're looking at is the physical attributes that you have. Now, if someone's asking you about what is your plans for the future, what do you want, what is your goals in life, they are interested in you as a person, as opposed to you as someone that's really beautiful. And that's something fathers need to tell their daughters, as I do constantly, even now, because she's only 22 years old. And those are the things that we need to do to make sure that our daughters live a happy life. They don't have to go through the trials and tribulations of wanting to find that love from a father in someone who probably doesn't have the capacity, to love somebody that much as a father should love their daughter. What man does? I can't love my wife like her father was supposed to, because I am not her father. I can only love her as a man loving a woman, and not a father figure to her. And these are the traps that befall us as befall them as women. And we have to take the time. We really have to take the time and think about what we do as men. What good things do we bring to the table for our girls? But we also have to think about the bad things that they see. The fact that we don't spend the time with them. What I found is that if you don't take an interest in your daughter, she begins not to take an interest in you. But what I've also found is that some women who don't have a father figure in her life, goes through relationships not knowing how to maneuver through those relationships. Prime example, you don't have somebody to tell you of your worth and how precious you are, and you have bad relationship upon bad relationship, all of a sudden you become very defensive. You get into this mode of, I'm not letting anybody tell me anything. And then you get into the point where you do find somebody. They may find somebody that is a good guy, but they've been hurt so much, they've been taken advantage so much, no matter what this good guy does, they figure, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, because he's probably a jerk like my father. At some point, it's going to come out. So you're always on the defensive. You can't have a relationship if you're always on the defensive. If you're always going to say, I'm not taking anything else from any man in my life because my father was a jerk. Think about how that plays out in a relationship between a husband and wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend for that matter. Someone says, I think we should go get ice cream, and all of a sudden it's a personal offense to your girlfriend because maybe she wanted always to have that little date with her father to go out and get ice cream. And all of a sudden, and not even knowing it at some points, what do you mean go out for ice cream? What, are you kidding me? I don't want to go out for ice cream with you. Why gotta be ice cream? But these are the things that we do to our daughters that we don't even see. We don't even see. We put people out, and this is son and daughter. If we don't put out a good product, meaning if we don't teach our children well, if we don't teach our children well before they leave that home to go out on their own, we're actually putting out a flawed product for somebody else to deal with. And I'll be totally honest with you, you know, and I'm going to switch over to guys now. If we do that with our boys, if we don't put out a strong man, how to love you, you know, if they see you loving their mother, if they see you loving them, if they are 100% into your life, and you send them out the door, guess what? Somebody else's kids are going to have to deal with them. And my biggest fear, and our biggest fear, me and Maribel's biggest fear, is for our kids to be with someone who wasn't prepared to be in a relationship with somebody else because their life leading up to this relationship was not a good relationship. Now, it no longer, and I tell you, it's a domino effect. That person is not prepared to be in a relationship, meets your daughter or your son, and if you tip the domino over, all of a sudden, everything that led up to her meeting your daughter, your son, now all of a sudden, it becomes your daughter or son's problem because they're in love with somebody who wasn't taken care of as a child. It is our responsibility as parents to parent. It is not the school's responsibility. It is not a counselor's responsibility. It is our responsibility because we took the responsibility to create this child. We can't create children and then pass them on to someone else to educate, for the most part, to give them a sense of well-being, a sense of pride in who they are, a good pride, not pride thinking, oh, my dad said I'm the best, so I'm better than everybody else, so I'm smarter than everybody else. No, as my dad used to tell me, I am the best, but I am no better than anyone else. And this is how children should be raised because, again, we're not just raising our kids. We're raising our kids to go out into the world and be good people because they're gonna meet other people's children. And as much as you love your child, the people that they run into, get into relationships, marry, have children with, they love their children too. And you talk about some explosive stuff. If you take your child, your daughter, and you teach her how to be proud, how to walk down the street, realize that, yeah, you're beautiful, but hey, you know, you better use that thing between your eyes, your brain. You better prepare yourself to go out here and make a living for yourself. And somebody's other child comes in and go like, yo, my dad never taught me nothing like that. And all of a sudden your daughter is the CEO of a company and her husband has no desire to do anything. Now it's your daughter's problem. And this is why we should raise our daughters to be smart. Daughters, to me, are precious. They are diamonds, they are pearls, they are everything. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, women have to deal with so much more than us. To be negligent, to be dismissive, to be persona non grata in a child's life, in a daughter's life, it's criminal. It's criminal because they need us every day. And like I said, though our daughter is 22 years old, I have no problem with her calling me for advice. And if my 22-year-old daughter can still call me for advice, can you imagine what a 2-year-old needs? The nurturing, the love. And if you're a man and you figure, well, that's the woman's job, she's supposed to nurture children, come on, then you're a fool. She's already nurtured the child for 9 months, if not over, if it goes over. If you know, she's already dealt with umpteen hours of labor to give you this beautiful baby. So now she now has to say, okay, I've done all this. So now I got to be the front and foremost person in my daughter's life because my husband, my boyfriend, or whatever thinks it's a woman's job. If it's a woman's job to raise a child, then my advice to all those guys who feel that way, please don't have children. Don't have children. Especially, God forbid, don't have girls. Because again, you do them such a disservice by not being front and center in their lives. As a grown man listening to 19-year-old young women, 20-year-old young women tell their story, it made me want to cry. To see the longing of a daughter for something, something, just give me a little bit of your time. And for the most part, it was never given, and it's different. Yes, I understand it's different. Having my son is 10 years older than my daughter. Raising a son is a lot different. You go out, you play ball. I was able to, be a little bit rough and whatnot with him and whatnot. I had a girl 10 years later, didn't miss a beat. Because it felt like when I saw my daughter, right? It felt like breathing. My heart it felt like 90 pounds coming out of my chest to see her being born. And that feeling has never gone away. So I'll never understand it. I'll never understand it. And I will talk about it. I will write about it. I will speak about it. I will go to the highest rooftop and scream about it. I have none, 0% respect for any man who is not a parent. Again, if you don't want kids, don't have them. It's an option. It's not a requirement. You can go through your whole life and not have children. That's fine. No one's the only person that probably get mad at you is your mother or father saying they want to be grandparents. But at the end of the day, your mother and father know you. So they'll probably say, damn, I hope he don't want have any kids. He's not ready for it. He's not ready, because we know you. As parents, we know our kids. We have to do better. We have to do better. We cannot continually put out and have these girls being broken and expect them to be good mothers, good sisters, good wives. We can't expect that from them if we give them no tools to deal with. That's like telling somebody, don't go to school for 12 years. But you know what? At the end of the day, when you're 19 years old, you're going to be an accountant. And you have no idea how to add or subtract. That's what we do. We throw our daughters out into the wild. And it's a jungle. It's a jungle. Because men will take advantage of a wounded woman. I've seen it too much. I've seen it and my head wants to explode. A wounded person should be nurtured too. And unless they find the right guy, they will take advantage of them every time, every single time. And it's not fair. Women have to go through so much physically, and I cannot say this enough. Women have to go through so much physically as it is. They don't need the mental anguish of having a deadbeat dad, having a loser husband. It's enough just being a woman. And I'm a prime example of seeing someone who was one of the strongest women I've ever seen in my life, and that's my mother. And I have the utmost respect for my mother because I understand. She told me what she went through, what she's had to go through. So women to me are precious. and they need to be treated as such. And like I said, this is very important for me and my wife. Uh, we love our daughter, and she's the only girl out of 5 kids. So one thing I never worry about Megan is that I always know that she's well protected, even when I'm not around. She has 4 brothers that will basically go through a brick wall for her. And again, I just wanted this show to be shed some light on what we're doing and what we try to do every time we have a show, is to shed light on things that need to be made better, things that are just right, you know. So if any fathers are listening to me out there, and mothers too, um, please look after your little girls. Uh, please make sure that they're fine. Please make sure that when you send them out into the world, they're ready to run a company, be president, go to the moon, because they deserve the chance to do that just as anybody on this earth. And we'd like to thank you for joining our show. And again, please stay safe. Please be cautious of what you do until we can do whatever we need to do with this pandemic. And we look forward to seeing you again on Spoken Voices. Good night.